Hi, it's Michelle here from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand. And I just wanted to share with you a card I just learned to make. It's called the Magic Color Change card. So this is made with the Dress to Impress set, which is in the current mini catalog. And so you pull the tab there, and the color comes into the lipstick. But this one, I watched lots of videos how to do it, but I decided I didn't like the empty space afterwards, so I've made it so this one has a special message that appears as well. So we'll see if you can see that again. And so I'll slide it back in. So there we go with the black and white image of the lipstick. And then we pull the lipstick out, and it magically gets color, and you have a message. So I'm gonna show you how to do this, but I'm gonna change it up a bit. I'm gonna make a slightly different card. Hopefully it all works. And this one I just put "Enjoy Your Special Day" on the inside of this card. So it's not that difficult to do. I've watched lots of videos online. You can look online to find other ones. It's called a Magic Color Change card. But I've modified the sizes to fit the size here in New Zealand. It's not that much difference from the American imperial measurements, but this time I'm gonna try doing a sideways one. So that was my original one that I did yesterday, and so let's get started. So I'm still using the Dress to Impress. This time I'm actually going to use I've got the DSP Designer Series paper, and I'm going to use Granny Apple Green as the base of the card. I will put all the measurements on my blog, and there'll be a link to all the products at the bottom of this video, as well as a link to my blog, so if you want to get the measurements there. But you start out with your basic size card. So whatever size you have for the outside of the card, as well as the inside for the country that you're in. You start out with that. Then the DSP is the same size as the insert. So it just shows a little bit of the outside of the card. And then you want to have another white piece of card that's just slightly smaller than your Designer Series paper. So you can see that's just slightly smaller. It just makes it easier when I stick it together that you don't have to trim the edges. Excuse me. And then decide where you want your image to show, so depending on which direction you're pulling it. So this one was pulled from the top, and I wanted the hidden message to show up in the center, so I had my aperture at the top. So basically I'm doing the same thing but sideways, so I've decided to have the aperture at the side. This one, this original one with the Done in Lovely lipstick and the Blackberry Bliss, I used the layering ovals die to cut out the shape to fit the lipstick. So for this one, I've decided I'm going to do a shoe in there, and I've done the layering squares. So I've already pre-cut the square there on the DSP. And then I've already done the two together, and as it says layering, so you can actually put the two together and cut them through your die cutting machine in one go to get the layers. So I've got Granny Apple Green layer there. Okay, so don't throw away your little extra piece because we will be using that later. The other thing is for the inside of to get it to work, you need a piece of window sheet, and you need a piece of white card. You'll be stamping on both of these. For the window sheet, you do need to stamp on with a permanent ink, so I'll be using Stāzon. For the white card, you could use the Stāzon, or you could use another color ink. I will be using the Memento because the design that comes out, I will be coloring with our Stampin' blends, and they're alcohol-based, so you have to use a water-based ink. If I was coloring with our Stampin' Writes or our pencils, I could use the Stāzon ink for the part that I'm going to color in. So those need to be the exact same size, and they need to be slightly smaller than your outer designer series paper. And you don't have to worry about the bottom or the top because that'll be left open, but the edges here is where you're going to adhere that piece down. So you've got to make sure that you have sufficient space between there, but not so small that you can't see it through the aperture. And you can use double-sided tape or liquid glue to do those edges. Just don't do them too close because you need to be able to slide it in and out, and I'll be showing that in a moment. So I believe, yeah, and then the other thing I've got is I've got some lovely lipstick cardstock, some scrap cardstock, because I'm going to be making the tab for that, as well as the words for the front. So let's get started. And I think I already mentioned you can find the measurements on my blog. So to get started, just a scrap of Whisper White Thick and some lovely lipstick to put our sentiment on the front. So I'm doing the Life is Short by the shoes because obviously it's got shoes on there. So some lovely lipstick, Whisper White cardstock. Give that good pressure. That's very beautiful. All right, I like to put my inks away so I don't accidentally stick something in them like my hand or my card. And I'm a bit of a clean freak. Sorry about shaking things. Okay, so this one I will cut out with the die that is part of the Dress to Impress set. What are the dies called? The dies are called the All Dressed Up dies. So there's lots of lovely dies in there. You can cut out all the images and make a bag with the dies for that one. So this is just one of the long stitch die. So I will go cut that out and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and I've cut that out. There we go. Life is Short by the shoes. That's going to be for the front of the card. And then next thing, we need to prepare the front. So we're going to glue our border around there. So it's up to you whether you want to have a border or not. I think it looks very nice with a border. So just put a bit, oh, there we go, of glue around our border, quite thin. And let's glue that in place. So I just picked up one of the contrasting colors. Now I know Granny Apple Green is not one of the colors listed for the designer series paper. Most of the colors I picked up, like that's lovely lipstick. But even though this is Old Olive, that's supposed to be Old Olive, the way they've colored it, it looks to me more like Granny Apple Green. So I thought that color looked better. It made it a brighter card. Okay, I'll leave that for a minute to put on when I decide. So the next thing you need to do is prepare your insert section. Now, the easiest way to do this is first to just place it over where your aperture is. Okay, so put that roughly where you want it to be, and then put the stamp that you want to show up in that spot. Okay, so I'm only going to have one shoe on here, and you're going to see in a minute why. Trying to do this slightly different than the other one. So I'm just lining my stamp up where I want that to go. So now what you could do is you could just put a block on there and try to stamp it with Stāzon, but a couple issues there is if you don't stamp and hold it properly, it can smear, and Stāzon is a permanent ink. But what I love to use, and I suggest you use it as well, is our Stamparatus. So if you don't have a Stamparatus, I suggest you walk, do not run to your nearest demonstrator and order one. But in the meantime, you can just try to do it freehand. But the reason the Stamparatus is perfect for this, so once we decide where we want that to be, we can simply slide it off. And we want our cardstock as well lined up underneath it. And pop it right in the top corner, not moving your stamp at all, right in the top corner. And push down to pick up the stamp. Now it's going to stick to the window sheet because the photopolymer are sticky. I'm just going to clean that off a bit. But the reason that you want to use a Stamparatus is you need to have the image in the exact same spot. So in the past, people used to do it with the Stamp-A-Majig. And so if you have one of those, by all means, give that a try. If you are doing this without a tool like the Stamparatus, etc., I suggest you stamp on your white cardstock first, which I'll show you that. So here, I'm going to stamp this in Memento because I'm going to be coloring in the image with blends, and so you do need to have a water-based ink if you're going to use an alcohol-based pen. If you're going to use a water-based pen, you need to have a permanent ink. Okay, so we're going to put that right there where we want it. I'll just give it a good press. The other nice thing with the Stamparatus is if it doesn't line up properly, you can always re-ink it. Okay, there we go. So that's our shoe there. So if you don't have, as I said, if you don't have a Stamparatus, then do the white card first and then line up and stamp it directly in the same spot. That's only useful if you're using a photopolymer stamp. If you're using a red rubber stamp, you definitely need something like the Stamparatus or the, what was it, Stamp-A-Majig? Okay, so now I don't really have to have the white card there, but I just put it there anyway. And so this is going to be stamped in Stāzon because I'm putting it on the window sheet. So it needs Stāzon, otherwise it will not stick to the window sheet. So going to be black again. The Stāzon has a protective, if you didn't already know, there's a protective cover for the Stāzon that you need to keep and cover up the Stāzon because otherwise it will dry out. There's also a special cleaner for the Stāzon because it's permanent. It will stick on your stamps forever unless you clean it. Okay, so give that a good press. And the Stāzon, being permanent, it dries quicker than our water-based inks, so you don't want it to be left out too long. There you go. So there's my image. And there's my other image. So see, you got the two images. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly clean my ink because I'm one of those that does not like things being dirty. So hold on while I clean it. So if you haven't cleaned with Stāzon, we do have a Stāzon cleaner. And yes, the top gets dirty, but you just tap it. Tap your stamp. And then you just want to clean it off as quick as you can. Especially with the photopolymer because it can damage the photopolymer stamps. It is actually a, it's good for the red rubber because it has something in there that conditions the red rubber. I just see a little bit black. Don't know if that's going to come off. Get it off as best I can because it helps for using it in the future to line it up. There we go, that's coming off better. Okay, so you definitely want to clean your photopolymer right after you use the Stāzon on it. But I'm actually going to use the stamp a second time because I'm changing this card up slightly from my other one. So now that I've got that clean, I'm going to put it onto a block. So that's my window sheet. I'll put that somewhere so I can see it, because I always seem to lose those. And now I'm going to stamp again. Now the other card that I showed you, when I pulled it out, I had the hidden message that came out. Whoop. It's hard to hold it. There we go. Oh, why am I sticking? Oh, there we go. Stuck to the edge. So there's the message that was hidden in the bottom. But this time I thought I would do it slightly different. I'm actually going to have a hidden shoe. Now if you're doing multiple things, like that one, the hidden message was done on the photopolymer window sheet. This time I'm going to have the hidden shoe to be on the white cardstock. So I need to try to figure out about where, when I pull this out, I pull that out and you'll see the colored shoe. So the other shoe would need to be right about there, but I need to have it far enough away so it's not going to be shown when it's not going to be shown next to here. Okay, so I think that's probably a good place for it. Could have it as far down as I want, really. And so this one is going to be the Memento ink again, because I'm going to color it. And I just want it to pretty much be lined up, so I'm going to try to line that up. Pretty much lined up just down from there. So it doesn't really matter how far down, as long as it's far enough where it's going to be hidden there. But I want it to be in line with the square. So I've got plenty of space here. It'll just be an extra surprise when you pull it out. Okay, so just press that down. Okay. Oh, I smeared it a bit. That's okay. I'm going to color it in anyway. Okay, now I'm actually going to cheat a bit, and instead of coloring them in, I'm going to give them colored color from the backside. The piece that I cut out, the backside has lovely florals, so instead of wasting that, I'm actually going to stamp the shoe on it in such a way that I'm going to pick up some of that lovely design. Now I want to get some of that pink in there because I've got the lovely lipstick showing up. It doesn't have to be really dark, but you do want to have the main part of the shoe on there. So we'll do this like that and give some lovely lipstick. There's a bit of lipstick. So instead of just plain coloring the shoes, doesn't matter that it's not that dark, I can still see the image slightly. I'm going to cut them out and do paper piecing. Okay, so how you do that is you stamp your image a second time and then you cut out the part that you want just inside the line. So I'll do it on this one and then I'll turn the camera off, pause it so you can see. So I'm just going inside the line there. Hopefully you can see that. Just inside that colored line. And I'm going to cut the inside out and just pop it onto the shoes to give them a beautiful bespoke type image. And I'll just cut this one around here. I'll finish cutting this one out and then I'll pause it so you don't have to watch me cutting things out. And I will color part of the shoes in a moment. trying to cut around there. And so what will happen is I am going to glue that down there, and so you can see you're going to have a beautiful looking shoe with that color on there. Okay, so I'll pause you and cut out the other shoe, and then I'll glue them down. Now before I glue down the shapes for my shoes, I'm just going to do a quick coloring. I'm using the light purple Posy because it matches some of the shoes on the outside, but I'm just going to color the inside of the shoe just to give it some depth, and so you have that surprise coloring. And that's why I inked this up in Memento black, because using the water-based ink when you're using an alcohol-based pen works better. And I'll just go over it slightly more in the center. Okay. Well, it looks a bit darker. Must have. Thing with the alcohol-based pens is you can go over multiple times and get different shades. But you've got to watch out because it does bleed, and so you don't want to get too close to the edge because it will bleed through to the the next part. And we'll just add a little bit of the dark purple Posy just in there. And as you can see, it does bleed. So you never want to do coloring with your Stampin' blends on your final card. It's always got to be something that layers because it will bleed through. And then I will use the dark Smoky Slate and the light Smoky Slate just to give me some color on the shoe. So I find it's best to blend with the lighter color. So I'll put a bit of dark there, and you see that's a bit really dark. Actually, I kind of like that dark, so I'm just going to come right up. Okay. So that's the coloring done, and as you can see, it does bleed through slightly. And then I'm just going to glue down my little shoes. So just a bit of glue on there, just to hold it in place. And pop that round just inside the shoe. There you go. It'll give you some color to your shoe. So it's better to color it first because of the bleeding effect. You wouldn't want to put your paper down and then color because you might bleed onto the paper, which sort of defeats the whole effect. And so this was just the other side of the front. See, that's just the beautiful back side of the card. So now we have these beautiful colored shoes. Okay, so let's put everything together. So as you can see, when you pull it out, you're going to have this pretty colored in shoe. I'm noticing there's a lot of fuzz going on my window sheet, so I'm going to use the embossing buddy to take the static off. There's embossing buddy. You usually put that on things when you're going to emboss them, and it just removes the static from them, so they're not going to pick things up. And a window sheet is another thing that it would be good to use on, because window sheets do pick things up. So that will probably help now to keep things from sticking, but that's actually just stuck on there. Okay, so you've got these two bits here. Now, before we put it together, one more thing you need is you need the little tab. Now on this one, I heat embossed my words, and I heat embossed the little arrow on there. This is a tab punch that we still have in the catalog. It originally came out with a set that had lots of little images that you could put in there, and that's where I got that arrow. But this time I'm actually going to do the punch. I'm going to punch it out in lovely lipstick. Put a scrap lovely lipstick there. And then I'm using the little arrow from the Cook For You set. Now that's current in the catalog, in the big catalog, so I'm going to stamp that just on, only matters on the one side because it's going to be folded, but showing which direction. You don't want it too far down because part of this is going to be covered with the edge of the designer series paper, so you want your arrow slightly up. Just give it some pressure. So that one I just did in the regular Memento black. Oops, sorry, wobbling the table as I clean things. I forgot to clean something the other day. Took a break, went back, put my yellow ink pad on it, and got green everywhere. Okay, and so then you just fold that in half, and that makes a lovely little tab. Now that tab we're going to attach to the front and the back here, but we don't want it so far down that it's seen. So for that, the easiest way to do it is to use the tear and tape, because liquid glue does not stick very to the window sheet. So find the end of the tear and tape. I hate it when you lose those. There we go. And just put a little just down the bottom on both sides. And there. Just tear it off, hence the name. Okay. So, lining that up, got to see how far in it's going to go. So, do it the right way around would be good. So, basically, right about there, just slightly over the edge. So pull your tape off. Make sure you got the arrow on the correct side. And then just line it up. Just roughly on the edge by the looks of it, because it looked like I had enough going. It's not going to show, so you wouldn't want it showing out there. And then turn it over, and you just want to make sure that you have everything lined up straight when you stick it down. Okay, so we're not sticking any glue there, and we're not sticking them separate to each other. We're just sticking them to the front and the back. So it still actually opens. Okay. Now, I think we got all our elements done. Let's start putting our card together. So that's the inside. Do that later. So the outside, we're going to stick together. And as I said, we don't want the whole thing stuck together. We just want the two long sides, because this is going to be sliding through it like that. Okay, that's how you get your magic. So you don't want the glue to come any closer to the edge than that. So I size this so you should be able to get a strip of double-sided tape there, but for purposes of the video, I'm just going to do a bit of glue down the side. And we don't want the glue to be too thick, because we don't want it to impede our movement of the slider. So now some people glue it on the bottom. I don't bother, because I'm doing my second image, and for my first card my second image was quite far down. This one's not as far, so I could cut the bottom off and have it glued down there and just make this shorter. but I'm doing it similar to my other one. So as I said, I made this white cardstock slightly smaller so I didn't have to worry about trimming the edges. Another thing I learned from that first card. And bone folder, make sure it's clean so you don't transfer any color onto things. Okay, so we will get that glued there. Okay. Now I see I've got some little marks there which I could clean off if I want, but now I'll leave it. And then this gets glued up here. Some of the other videos I saw, they used the dimensionals and stuff to give it some depth, but I find it slides pretty good just as is. So this piece here, again, you don't want to put any glue in the center because this is what's going to be glued down. In fact, we could even put it together now before we glue it down, and then we have a better idea. Well, I'm having a bit of trouble because of where, there we go. So we'll put it together now, and then we have an idea of where we're going to glue things in the back. Okay. I think I might have had my square a bit lopsided. Either that or stamped it a bit lopsided. So my shoe's up a bit high. Okay. So basically we just, again, want to glue those two bits. So I might just do that with the insert in there, and that way I know exactly where I want it to go. And just a bit on that side. Some of the other videos I saw, they made like a pocket to do it, which works as well. But notice I didn't glue at the bottom. I could cut that end off and glue at the bottom if I want, and that would help, you know, if you try to push it too far through. But like I said with my other one, the words went all the way to the bottom, which I can show you in a minute. So make sure you put it the right way up. Don't want an upside down card. Bit embarrassing, especially when you're at a class and you put it together and then discover that's the wrong way around. So if you did put the sides together with some dimensionals, you would have a bit more height and it would be easier to slide, but I was a bit worried it would slide right out. This one, because the words are so long, see how far down? It comes right to the end of the window sheet because the length of the words and the length of the lipstick on this one. So here I could have cut that shorter and glued that end down. So pull it out. Oh, where's my... Oh, I did. Aha! I see what I did. I put my shoe on there, and I should have actually had the shoe on this part, which to have it show up, which I can fix. Aha! I thought it was being so clever. Okay. Now I know. Oh, I'm having a bit of difficulty. I think I glued it too close. All right. See, I told you I was learning. Now I figured out where I went wrong. Okay, and this is a bit tight. So what you can do is if it's a bit tight, you just trim the edges off. Which I will do, and then I will have to fix the shoe and show you in step 2 how to fix your mistakes. So I'm just going to trim that. So where was I having the trouble? That's there. going to trim a little bit off the edge. Okay, and let's see if that's going to slide any better. I'm going to have to fix my shoe problem. So I might pause the video and fix that and then come back. Okay, so we are going to go to pause mode with technical difficulties. Okay, I'm back. Got rid of the technical difficulties. It was actually user error. So now I've got it working the way I want it to work. So you see the two shoes show up. So what I actually did is, which I should have done in the first place, is you need two images that you want to show up in the front of the card need to be on the window sheet. I should have known better from the last card because I did have the words on the window sheet, but I thought I was being so clever. So what I did is I went and stamped with the Stāzon on the window sheet, and because I had it lined up, I knew where to stamp, and then I just cut another bit of the colorful shoe there. If you were going to do this and color the item in, stamp one side with the Stāzon, and then you can color the back with your Stampin' blends, because as long as the two inks aren't touching, they won't affect each other. So I also trimmed the edges down slightly to make it go smoother, and I did cut a little bit off the end because this one doesn't have to go all the way down like my original one. So for here you need to slip it, white card in the back and the window sheet in the front between the white, and then when you slide it down, suddenly your shoe goes away. And because I cut the bit off there, I could have adhered this end bit, but it's too late now. But now I can hold that and pull it out, and you get the effect of the two shoes showing up. Okay, that's why I have difficulty pulling out the base of this one, because it goes all the way to the end, and I can't really hold there because I'll hold the lipstick in place. So there we go. And so that is stamped onto the window sheet, which I should have realized. But as I said, I only just made this one yesterday, so it's my first time doing these cards. And I could have just started over and done a better video, but you've got to see the reality of oopsie moments and how to fix them. So now we have that there. I thought I will pop this down probably a few dimensionals on that. Once I find my dimensionals, there we go. I got some mini dimensionals here. We'll just pop a couple on there, just to have the same. Still think it's going to be a pretty cute card in the end, even with my difficulties. So yeah, I called it technical difficulties because most people blame their tools, don't they? Instead of realizing it was them. But that's okay. You can learn from my mistakes. So I'm just thinking, I don't really, I just want to put it maybe there. Okay. Yeah, crooked. I always do things crooked. That's okay. That makes it proof that it was handmade. And then I was just thinking maybe to add a bit of bling onto the edges of there. What bling should I use? So, oh, I just realized I haven't colored the inside of that shoe. Aha! I'll have to do that. That will show you how to color the inside. I was just thinking maybe to do the purple Posy. If you don't have the right color bling, you can color in your jewels, which I've done in the past, and I think I've shown on a previous video. So for now, I will just color a few to let them dry. So I'm going to use the dark purple Posy because that's basically what the inside is. Let's see how the dark looks. So it's best to color them while they're on the sheet. So it's quite light actually. Doesn't come out very dark at all. Not sure I'm liking that. Might be okay. We'll leave that to dry while I fix the inside. So as I said, this is the side that has the Stāzon. If I colored that side with my blends, it will make the Stāzon come off. But I can turn it over and I can color on the inside. Let me just get a bit of white cardstock so I can see what I'm doing. So we did the purple Posy. And I'm just thinking the light and the dark might not show up very well. So I'm just going to color this guy in. Yeah, see, the light's not going to show up because of the window sheet. So I'm going to color it with the darker purple Posy. And so just go around the edges of where you want it to be. And then leave it to dry. Because it is alcohol based, it will dry. Just want to be gentle because the more you color on it, the more it will come off. It actually removes. So if I put another color there, it would actually remove the color I'd already put. And so this isn't going to show up very dark. Thinking I might have to go with the black pen to get it to show up. That's not showing up very well. So I'm going to get my black blends and color that. So now I actually have the black blends because with the window sheet the colors don't come out as vibrant as they do on white cardstock. So let's see, that's the light basic black. How does that show up? Not very dark, so let's try the dark basic black. See how that shows up. So leave that to dry a bit. That looks like it's going to show up much better. And it's just that purple's not coming out as dark as I'd like it to be. See if I can get some more on there. So this is kind of, yeah, trial and error. See it here first. My other videos, I assure you, are better than this. You can have a look at them. You could subscribe if you'd like to see more of these funny videos. Give me a thumbs up, preferably. You could give me a thumbs down. But I'd prefer a thumbs up because I am trying and I'm showing you kind of what not to do. Okay, so that's come out a bit darker. Not super dark, but it's better. So now I know. So I'll leave that to dry for a second while we work on the inside of the card. So remember which way up your card's going to be. I should have just stuck with recreating the original card. So I thought I would put the Hello Fabulous on the inside. And I wanted to just splash some color on the inside. And I wanted to pick up some color from the shoes on the outside. I was thinking I might try the Daffodil Delight. That's what's supposed to be the color coordinating with this. And let's just see how that looks. Always stamp your cardstock first before you adhere it down because there's two sides to every piece. If you don't like what you stamped, you can turn it over. So I'm going to do this up like, I'm just seeing which way the words are. I think it's better just to do it kind of at an angle like that. Let's see how that goes. Okay, and then try not to go too crazy on colors. I'm just going to go with black. Memento black. And let's just stick a Hello Fabulous in the middle of that. we go. I could have gone with the darker background because the black did come out quite dark. That's okay. I'm better off just leaving things as they are. So I don't have any more little mishaps. Okay. So this one, I'll stick this guy down. Just a bit of combo. That doesn't want to come out. See? Not my day. Okay. It's not liking me today. Go back to the old tried and true tear and tape. That's working for me. So, I hope you have enjoyed the video. I did show you something different, but that's why you need to try things out first. At least the mistake I made was fixable. Quite often you can make mistakes that end up where you throw things away. But if you do come across a problem and you think, oh, I've got to throw the whole thing away, my suggestion is leave it. Don't throw it away straight away, because if you leave it for a while, you might come up with a way to either salvage it or to use part of the project that didn't work for you. So, you know, you might have, quite often I will stamp and cut out sentiments, and they're just either the wrong color or the wrong shape, and I've got a big pile in my craft room of sentiments and shapes and things that in the end I chose not to use. So don't throw anything out, just put it aside, because you never know when it'll come in handy. So again, make sure you put it the right way around, and that's just a simple inside. I probably add some more bling and glamour and maybe a shoe or two, but I think I've got enough with my shoes. Now, if you were wondering what I was doing there, I haven't seen any of my other videos. This is what I call tabbing. So you pull up just the edges of your double-sided tape, because if you find there's something wrong, see, this isn't stuck down, it's easier to pull up the edges, a few minor edges, and refix it if you got it at the wrong angle, or if you find you have done it upside down. And then you simply grab the tab you've stuck out, and it releases the tape behind, and then you can push it all into the card. Okay? Now, yes, that is crooked, but I'm just going to have to live with it. So let's see. They kind of came out okay. So you can use our pick a tool, or you could use the tips of your scissors if you're trying to pick something up sticky, and pop it down. So our blends, again, being alcohol based, which makes them permanent, allows you to color any of our jewels, but leave it for a little bit, because if you color it and then take it up immediately, sometimes it will smear or transfer color onto your tools. So that's that. We've left this to dry a bit now that I colored it, which shows you how to color on your window sheet. So there was a good reason for that. And just sliding the white behind the white and the window sheet in front. And there we go. Okay, I think I can call this one done. Can I? There we go. I think we can call that a done deal. So let's see if it works. So life is short, buy the shoes. Lovely DSP. Pull it out. There's our shoes. So we got two matching pairs of shoes there. Oops, sorry. Don't think I did that on camera. Let me try it again. There we go. Should watch the camera while I do it. There you go. Lovely surprise shoes. And slide it back in. And there you go. So that's the magic color cards, and I've added the extra reveal so you don't have the white space. And this one pulls up, whoop, be as bold as your lipstick. So this one's got a magic message as well as a magic color. Oh, there we go. There we go. And then that one, I've just put enjoy your special day on the inside. So hopefully you like that, even with the interruptions and the ways I had to fix things. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and have a look at my blog. I will be putting the measurements up shortly. Once I upload this video, I will then add all the products to the base of it as well. If you are in New Zealand and would like to buy any Stampin' Up! Products, please contact your demonstrator. But if you don't have one, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can go to my website and order directly. Contact me if you want to come to any classes. They do run a bit smoother than this, but I hope you have enjoyed your day. Thanks for watching. Bye!